Hi everybody, thanks for joining us today. I think we're about 60 seconds late. All good. Everybody's filtering in. This is great. All right, let's just kill maybe 60 seconds more time and we'll just have a quick chat. Everybody, if you want to just post it there in the chat, confirming you can hear me, and where are you tuning in from today and what's the weather like? So I'm in, this is amazing, sunny London. The weather's been so good lately. And I'm quite jealous. I want to go outside. Yeah, hot and sunny. I'm not sure about everybody else who's in the UK, but I've been struggling with the heat a little bit when it comes time to go to bed because the buildings are so well insulated. I've just been sweating up a storm, but I need to get aircon in here. The fan's probably the next best thing, but coming from Australia, everything's aircon because it's so hot all the time. But yeah, it's not a bad change. All right. Yeah, please, everybody, just before we jump in, if you've got questions throughout, please put them in the Q&A. We've got Jordan on the call as well, who will be answering those. So not in the chat, in the Q&A section, and we'll be able to either answer them in live time, or we will answer them at the end, or even Jordan as he goes through, and he'll just be able to type you up an answer. Cool, thanks everyone for joining. I think we're just about ready to go. Today, we're going to talk about completing tax returns in Pixie and some of the cool features that we have from our pre-built templates. We're going to offer those to you today, and Jordan will put that link in the chat as well. Now, if you're not an active Pixie user, we'll also put a trial link into the chat so you can jump on Pixie as well. My name's Matt. I'm account manager here at Pixie. I've been here for about 6 months. I moved across from Australia. And yeah, loving Pixie. Used to work in the app ecosystem with Practice Ignition and Xero as well. And I was an accountant for about 5 years before that. So getting a nice transition from Australian accounting to UK and global accounting as well. And we've also got Jordan on the call. Jordan, did you want to say hi?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jordan, one of the co-founders and head of marketing here at Pixie. I've just stuck a link in the chat for the workflow template. So if you've not already got a copy, feel free to download that now. You can start a free trial and give it a go whilst we work through the training today.
Perfect. Thanks, mate. What I'm going to do here as well, just cover off some key points before we go into an actual demo scenario. I'll show you how it works. So if you ever need to replicate what we've done, you can always just watch that part of the recording. This is being recorded too, so we will send that to you at the end as well. So today we're going to do a flexible tax return. So we're going to build it or use the pre-built template that Pixie's done for us. And of course, you can always adjust that as well. Chances are a lot of it's going to be something you're maybe already doing or you can take advantage of, but it won't be perfect for maybe every firm. So you can always adjust that as well. And I'll show you how to do that really quickly. We're going to set up automatic reminders. So nothing worse than chasing clients for work that maybe is outstanding or you don't actually know what stage of the job it's up to because maybe the client sent you 1 or 2 pieces of information, but you requested 4 or 5. We can do that automatically with Pixie and we'll take care of the chasing for you. How do we assign pieces of work to either a colleague of ours or the person maybe responsible for the client itself? So if you hold the relationship or maybe there's a designated tax return specialist in the firm. You can also reassign work within the team as well. Using labels, so when we go and search through our work list, we might have 20 or 30 tax returns on at the same time. We can see what stage they're up to and when they're due and who's responsible for that work as well. And I'll show you how to do those reports. Q&A at the end, also Q&A as we go. So please use that Q&A box if you've got anything you'd like to ask. All right, Jordan's already put a copy of this into the chat and we've got 30-day free trial of Pixie as well. If Jordan hasn't already, he'll put that link in there to start a trial. Chances are there are a lot of people already using Pixie, so that's fantastic. But if you're new and you'd like to have a look at what we're doing today, please follow along by starting a trial. Okay, Jordan's going to launch a poll for everybody. We just like to know what percentage of your personal tax returns so far. Let me just move that poll there. Go back one, sorry. Have you completed in 2020, 2021? So how much of that work's already been done? We've also got a second poll there on the screen. which is my second slide, but we'll just talk about it now that it's there. What percentage would you like to have complete by the end of the year? I don't think I'm allowed to vote on this, but I'll just sit here until we get those answers through. And Jordan, let me know when that's ready to be moved on. All right, I might hold that poll open for another 10 seconds or so.
Just a few more people to vote.
Perfect. Okay. All right, thanks for that. Are we able to share that feedback? Yeah, perfect. There we go. All right, so a lot of people are yet to start tax returns or have had a small percentage. All right, you hope to have most of them done by the end of the year. All right, fantastic. Thanks for that. That's really good, interesting feedback. So basically, we're ready to start getting into that tax period, and we can utilize Pixie to take advantage of that for us. All right, now I'm not massive on talking about things. I much prefer to show you how they work. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in and actually do the scenario together. So I'm going to import a template that we can generate from the link that Pixie, that Jordan's put in the chat for us. And I'm going to open up my Pixie account. So here we are here. Now the workflow template will look and feel like this. You can simply click download template here. It will save it in a Pixie format. If you're able to start a trial or log into your Pixie account, simply come across to the settings. Classic, I've got to log in myself. Come across to the settings, click on task templates here, and simply import template. And you'll only be able to import the templates that have the Pixie format. We also have a large list of workflow templates, which Jordan will speak about or send a link a little bit later on for other things too. We also have pre-prepared templates in your account. Depending on the region, you might have anywhere from about 10 templates, such as confirmation statements, bookkeeping, payroll, VAT, annual accounts, tax returns, management accounts, all sorts of stuff, which is a fantastic starting point. You get some out-of-the-box features which you can take advantage of. Now let's pretend that we have, I might as well just find that tax return. I think I've got one in here. I think I labeled it latest. Yeah, there we go. Personal tax, latest in brackets there. If you like the look of the template, you maybe want to add some things like you do a slightly different order or have different checklists. Click the 3 dots on the right-hand side of any template and you're able to clone that template. That allows you to really add in some extra steps, maybe some internal deadlines, maybe changing the start date or frequencies, anything you need to do, but you can then bulk that out or even reduce it if you don't need to have all of those points in there, but completely up to you. Plus you keep the original that Pixie has in there, so you can always refer back to it if you ever need to. All right, what I'm going to do is just add a dummy client and show you an example of how we can do that. Now that can be done from any screen by simply clicking the plus at the top. We can not only start an email, a task, but we can add a client. We can also click into our client list and we can add clients from here or directly from Companies House if you're in the UK. Now, if you have a large list of clients, maybe 10, 20, 100, 1,000, whatever it might be, 3 dots on the right-hand side, we can import data from a CSV. Now there's a template spreadsheet in there once you click that link to show you how to do it and what you can import. Now the neat thing about Pixie is you can have anything that you like. So I prefer when I import maybe from another software or from a spreadsheet I already have existing, I want to know everything and anything about my clients. What are their phone numbers, their addresses, what type of clients are they, what type of work do I do for them? Do I hold passwords on their behalf? Where are they located? What industry are they a part of? Do they have a dog? All sorts of interesting and important things that I can then click into any client and see at a glance. So for example, if I click into myself, straight away, I've put a little note here that Matt's grumpy before 10 a.m. So if any team member comes in and sees that, don't call Matt before midday, classic. And then an example here, Matt's the boss, but really my partner's the real big boss. So what I do is I CC her on all of the emails because I can tend to miss some sometimes. And she's on top of that. So she'll be able to look across those emails for me and really help me with the things I need to do, especially if you've got multiple contacts, which you can have as many contacts as you like. You can also link one client to another. So maybe there's a company or multiple companies and multiple individuals, you can keep them all together in a group. Now that's a new feature there. Who's responsible for the client? My colleague Bonnie, and you can actually choose who that might be, type of client they are. And here are all those fields that I've built. So Matt used to be a prospect. He actually wasn't a client to start with. So what I did was I created a little 1, 2, 3, 4 prospect onboarding. So what I did was created some fields to say, is Matt a prospect? Yes. Did I have a meeting with Matt? Have I completed that final meeting, and did we do the final onboarding? So I'm actually moving him through the stages of a prospect in Pixie. And then I filled out some more key data, like Matt's an audit client, £1,000 budget. He's coming from an existing firm, so I had to do some cleanup work for him. He's part of a group. He's got a dog, and then all sorts of other interesting things, like any links that I need to have in there for him, maybe saving information on a Google Drive or a secure login, bank account information, all sorts of stuff, right? That's what I've got in there for Matt, and I can see at a glance what I need to do for him at any time, especially if my colleagues are coming in and completing some of that work. They can see it all here as well. But what I might do is just click add client from the top. Let's just say we're going to add Jordan. So with Jordan, he's not a limited company. He might be an individual. He might be self-employed. I can create any of these fields in my settings. So depending on the type of client you do work for. And again, I've also got a prospect field in there. So Jordan might not actually be a client yet. He might be a prospect. I can put, for example, whatever email address might be, fill in any of that key data there. And now I've got all the fields that I've created. So he might be a prospect. He might be an audit client. I'm going to do some accounting work for him and some bookkeeping work. All of these things I can fill out. And I've got a lot of key fields here, like what VAT type of work might I do for him? Do I have key lodgement dates? Do I have a year-end date for Jordan? All sorts of stuff. Okay, and I can add a contact in here if Jordan's the person, especially if it's a company or a partnership or a charity or something like that. You might want to add in directors or key contacts. You can do that there. And that's how you create a prospect or a client really quickly in Pixie, and then all the information around that. So you can always come in and add to it later on. I'm just going to close that down. Don't need to do it right now. What I'm going to do is use an existing client and add in that information. Cool. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is click create task. Don't need to add in a task name, and I'll show you why. Because if I select a client and I select a really nice template, the template name actually produces the task name for me. I might want to just reduce that. So let's just pretend I'm doing this for Jordan. Okay. The deadline's being pulled directly from the template. So I don't have to adjust the template deadline. It's already ready to go. I can now assign someone who's responsible to do this work. Now it's going to be me because I'm the person who does all the tax returns for the firm. It might be the person who was associated to the client record. So it might be Bonnie. I don't actually have to choose her. I can just simply click client manager. Then I'm going to click next. And now I get all of the information that I'm going to do for Matt at a glance. So I need to send a choice of an email. I need to request information. I need to check that the clients send me that information. And I've built in a little deadline of a few months in there to make sure that I'm not missing the actual deadline when it comes time to lodge in January, for example. I need to prepare the tax return. I need to send emails, all sorts of interesting stuff. I'm going to create that task. So now you can see we've got some real substance to this job on the left-hand side. Now, Jordan's been an absolute legend here, and he's put together a video as the first step. So if you ever need to learn more about this particular template, you can watch this video here. It's got some great in-depth analysis of how we built it, how to use it, and why you benefit from it. Let's pretend I've watched that video. I'm just going to mark that first subtask as complete. And now we're on to some core information here. The cool thing about it is Jordan's actually given us 2 options of when we go to use this tax return. So maybe you request documents from a client via emails. Maybe you request documents from clients via a secure link. Whatever you'd like to do, you can actually do it from within Pixie, either one of those 2 options. For example, the first option is email request information. So it automatically knows that I'm sending this information to Matt because I've got Matt selected as the client and I'm the contact for that client. So it's going to say, Dear Matt, we've started the information for you. And then I've got maybe the lodgement date in there, which I've highlighted. In order to make things possible, please review the attached checklist. And I've got a secure link here for the client to provide me that documentation that I might need, for example. And I can always attach a checklist, or I can attach something that I'd like, or it's exactly like sending a regular email from Pixie. Now, to create or generate this unique link, if you're creating an email from scratch, simply click this Request Files button on the right-hand side. That will produce you the unique link specific for the client and task that you're working on right now. For safety and security purposes, only the people who are the contacts for the client can actually access this email and that link. For example, Matt and Meg are the two contacts that I showed before. They're the only people that can access this link, whereas these additional users here, they're my Pixie co-workers. So you can't unintentionally or accidentally send this to the wrong client, okay? Now, if it does get forwarded on by Matt to somebody else, they can't access it. It's only for Matt's eyes, which is really great. And again, if I wanted to send a secure piece of information to Matt, I can always switch this button on here on the right-hand side. And what that does is that password protects this particular piece of information. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to click send. All right, message was sent. The task has now completed itself. We're actually up to task number 3, but this is the secondary option, which I'll run through in just a split second. What I'm going to do is show you what the client sees from the email we sent. Now, interestingly enough, it says, "Dear Matt, we've got all the highlighted pieces of information in here. Here's the link for you to drop the documents to us." So if the client clicks into this link, again, specific portal for them and them only. And it's going to have your business name and your business logo here at the top. And clients can drag and drop specific files in there if they want. For example, let's just do that one there. That particular document comes in and, as you saw, uploads really fast because Pixie doesn't have an upload limit or a file size limit. So you can upload massive documents, heaps of them. They'll go straight into your Pixie account and you've got unlimited storage in there as well. Now, you might be paying for storage on the cloud or somewhere else. You can actually amalgamate everything, bring it straight into Pixie. This could be the client being like, is this the correct document? Now, if I come back into that task that we're doing and I have a look under the Files tab, there is the task, or the document rather, that the client has sent me straight away. Pretty helpful. Now, it's come in immediately. I would have received a notification in one of two ways. Either I got a notification via email, which I can set up in Pixie to say, hey, your colleague or your client, Matt, has just uploaded the documents you requested. That's great. So now we're on top of that. Or if you're not a fan of receiving plenty of emails, you can just click this little bell icon in the top right-hand side. And as you can see here, Matt uploaded the files you requested for the tax return we're doing for Jordan right now. Always cool to have a look in there. I love looking at that maybe every hour or so. I can download, preview, or rename this. Maybe this isn't actually whatever they sent it through to us. We can rename it to specifics if we need to. I can also see every email associated with this piece of work here nested under the client record. So there's my lengthy, nice email to my client. There's their response. And if I say, yep, send an email straight out of Pixie, it's exactly like sending an email out of your 365 Microsoft or Gmail. So if you're using either of those, they're compatible with Pixie and they will directly integrate. Something else you might notice here, this client is, or this specific email for Matt is linked to 3 clients. So myself and my 2 companies, for example. Now, this email, because it's linked to 3, will link to those and of course store there forever. So you can always jump in there and find the history of the chat and any correspondence you've had with your client. However, this might not be the case in this example because we're doing work for Matt personal. So what I'm going to do is simply remove the other 2 companies there from that link. Beautiful. So now every time we do some work for Matt, this personal tax return on this thread, it'll come through and only link to the correct client, which is great because we don't need it to go into the companies. They might be doing the annual accounts elsewhere. So that's a pretty smart feature that Pixie has. If we're liaising with the different team members and we're working through specifics, we can also leave notes here. So maybe I can do something like this. So maybe I'm talking to my colleagues and it'll be like, records received. I can put the date in there. What is the date today? 22nd. Okay. And now maybe I'm gonna reallocate this or reassign this work to Jordan for review. So I can always chat with the team in here. It's a really handy place to be able to keep in touch with the team members there as well. Now that I have sent that email, I can actually label this particular job. So I've got a pretty nice workflow here of the types of things that I might do for clients. For example, work in progress, waiting on the client, the records have been received, in review with a colleague, if the work's urgent, whatever it might be, create these in your settings. What I've done is I've actually got 3 tax return steps. One is I've sent it to the client, and now we're waiting on the client, for example. So I can immediately find this job if I know it's outstanding, and I might say I'm waiting for the client, or it's now in review with my colleague. So again, really helpful for your workflow management and making sure that you're not missing any deadlines or any particular jobs. Okay, that was option number 1. Option number 2 is quite unique because it's actually to do with checklists. Now, you might already send checklists straight out of Pixie in a PDF, or maybe send checklists on an email, or you've got linking to somewhere that's, captures that data. But you can actually do it within Pixie. Here's how. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe copy all of this, because what you'll see is every single key section of the tax return has been populated for us. So we've got income, earnings, expenses, whatever it might be. So I'm going to simply select all of this, copy that. And as we can see, Jordan's put some information here as to how to utilize this. And I'm going to come up here to the client task section, which is available for any task that you're working on. I'm going to paste the information that I've just copied in here. I'm going to click save. Now what we've effectively done is created a really cool checklist for our clients to come in and simply tick everything that's relevant to them, upload any documents that they'd like for us. And that's another great way of keeping a track, maintaining, and being on top of the work you're offering or requesting from clients. Now, let me show you how this particular piece of work can be utilized. I'm going to click maybe attach a file so I can always maybe send the client his reference from last year. I need you to do the same thing for me now, but I'm going to simply click send to client. Now, the neat thing about this is Pixie can do the chasing for you, and the chasing might be simply setting an auto reminder. So I'm going to say every 5 days, up to 4 times, we're going to bug this client until they give us what we need. And again, pre-drafted email, which we can always adjust. For example, I might say, your password is your date of birth. So I'm telling them, without actually giving the password away, how to access that link above. I'm going to click send. So now, again, Pixie's done a lot of the work for you. It's pre-prepared the template. We've got a pre-prepared checklist. All we had to do was paste it across. And now I can liaise with my client. So let's pretend we're still talking to Jordan. Please tick all appropriate. All right. So I've got a nice chat going there. I've certainly sent it twice. Let me show you the difference between what I sent before and what I just sent now. Something else you might have noticed is my email signature is actually pulling through each and every time I send an email from Pixie, because I have my email signature in my settings. Every time I send an email, it looks and feels exactly like I would be sending from a 365 or a Gmail. Here's the link for the client. I've given them the password to access if they need, because they're going to get stopped here. That's the only difference between the first portal we saw and this portal here. Now, whatever their password might be, it might be their date of birth, it might be their surname, nickname, business name, whatever it might be, you can absolutely set that. And you can set that on the client record in Pixie. I'll show you a little bit later how to make sure we get that right. And here we are. I'm the client. We're doing a personal tax return for Jordan. I'm Jordan, clicking in here, and I just have a quick read of what happens. And maybe I'm going to start to tick all the things that are applicable to me. I'm going to maybe do that one there. I'm going to do that one there. All sorts of stuff. So everything that's relevant, I can just tick off. Okay. Might come down here. I might attach a file. I might attach 2 or 3 files. Let's just do that one there, these 2. So I'm the client uploading records to Pixie, or uploading records back to Matt. And I might say, hi, Matt, all done, I think. And again, you can chat with your client here in the portal. And if I come back into my tax return and I quickly refresh the screen, you can see everything that's been completed by the client, effectively making your checklist complete and saving you a lot of time. So they've ticked everything that's applicable to them. They've also attached some documents which you can find by simply clicking on the Files tab, and here they are. So where did they come from and when did they arrive? The first document that came from that client was sent via an email from that first unique link we sent. The latest 2 that we just did then came from the client task. Here's the timestamp and where they came from. So again, I can always adjust any of these that I like, maybe rename them. But these files not only get saved against Jordan's personal tax return task, but they get saved in the client record as well. So once they're in, they're always here. You can always find them again in the client record. So you don't have to worry about storing them somewhere else or saving them elsewhere or forgetting to, because Pixie does that for you exactly like it does with the emails. All right, nicely done. So we've nailed that. Now we just work through our nice systematic approach for all the other pieces of information we have for this client. So again, mark this as complete once all the info has been received. Beautiful. Now we did that well before the October deadline that we had thought of. And now we can prepare the tax return. So again, I've got these 3 or 4 things I need to complete. If you want to make this look as neat and as easy as I have for maybe some other tasks that you've got, within the template, you can always create these checkboxes. But within any task, simply click Edit Description. And you're just going to click this button here. So that's a to-do list, which allows for those little boxes to be clicked by each colleague or each staff member. If you want to add in a video, you absolutely can. Just insert a video link, whether it's a Loom, like we saw from that subtask number 1, Jordan had created the video to show you how this works. You can insert a YouTube link, a Vimeo link. You can also hyperlink words. So maybe you want to get the client to go, or yourself rather, your colleagues to leave this page and go into HMRC or go into your website or go to a resource where they can learn more about how it might be working. Whatever you like, you can just add that in, which is really neat. Okay, and I guess we'll continue to work our way through these briefly. I'll show you what they look like. So again, pre-drafted emails ready for you to send. And again, you can always attach an email because these aren't automatic emails. You can set these up to go as soon as the subtask before them is complete, okay? Personally, I prefer to be in charge when I send things, and I want to put a personal touch on any email that I can. I like to be able to keep it manual. So that's why it's not going to go until I click send, just for also a bit of peace of mind. Again, ticking through all of these, making sure we've done it, making sure we've submitted it. We can always add in an additional deadline in there if we'd like to make sure we have it done maybe before Christmas or first thing in January, so don't lose track of that. And if we ever need to adjust a simple task for a client, click the 3 dots on the top right-hand side, Advanced Task Editor, which allows for us to make that change. I didn't set this up to recur. I can by simply clicking Make Recurring. But if I wanted to allocate this to a client and make it recur from the get-go, all I do is click into my client list. Let's pretend all 73 of my clients here are tax return clients. I just click Schedule Task. And as I click Schedule Task, it allows for me to select the appropriate template. And now I've got something that recurs every single year for those clients on the same day. Pretty handy. That's how you create recurring work in one swift motion. You can also create one-off work, maybe ad hoc tasks or non-recurring work by clicking that Create Task button there. I can also send one email to each client at the same time. So if you're doing that, for example, sending an email to clients, that's a really helpful way of doing something like maybe a reminder, maybe checking in with them, maybe upselling them, maybe saying Happy New Year. You can do all of these things by simply sending an email. And that's not one big BCC email. That's one email to each individual client, which you can draft as you send, which I think is pretty neat. From this screen, you can also see I've created some really cool filters. So I filter for all my monthly VAT clients and maybe my quarterly clients and my payroll clients and my pension clients and my limited companies and all sorts of stuff. So I like to do that because it makes my life easy when it comes to time to starting work. I can immediately check to see if I've missed anything and what stages we're up to. All right. Now, the reason we do all of that in Pixie is to try and keep it in one place. So we've got conversations, questions, files, and emails all tied together here. We're not looking at 4 or 5 different pieces of software, which we might be spending a lot of money on. We can do it all in Pixie with its fantastic value because it's quite affordable. We don't have those per user fees. It's only the straight £49 a month, which is really great. And we've also got some cool features coming out on the roadmap pretty soon. Now, I wanted to show you 2 things. How to create those labels, which can be done here. So I've created some labels and I put a number in front of them purely to order them, makes my life a little easier. And then of course, adding those client fields in there. So if you want to know whole passwords on behalf of clients, locations, industry type, everything, put it in there. But of course, where do we find the password to allow our clients to access our data? For example, if we send them something, we need them to access the link to provide us information. This master code is what you do on the right-hand side. You can always edit it. So it's going to be a sort of strange 4 or 5 word sentence, which doesn't make any sense. It's just auto-generated randomized. You can edit that code to make it far more manageable for your clients. For example, instead of having 4 or 5 words that they might not remember, I edit it to my surname is Fox, my nickname is Foxy. I might put my date of birth in there. I might put my pet's name, whatever it might be. You can liaise with the client to best find the master code for them. That's the code. They can access any of those links you send them. Brilliant. And then, of course, how do we find all the work that we're doing? Click in the team tab, click on the work report, and we can see anything and everything, whether it's overdue, whether it's complete, what type of work it is. So if I come across here to filter on the right-hand side, I can filter for maybe if I have a look at the template, and if I have a look at like personal tax return templates and I apply that filter, I've got 8 of them. We'll work for Gemma, Kathy, Marie, Colette, Amy, all the people. And then I've got one here for Jordan that we're doing right now. And there's my unique label. So again, I could have filtered for that label, tax return in review. Straight away, it would pull this up for me. I can not only see when the deadline is, but the fact that it's open. I can swing across here to my colleague, Matt is responsible for that. If it was closed or when it was closed, if there's a date and the type of tax return, type of template as well. So again, really helpful for when you're looking at the type of work you're doing. And straight away, I can at a glance say, these are overdue, but it looks like we've got the records. Maybe my colleague, Meg, I need to go and just have a quick word to make sure that she's okay, and I can assist if necessary, but it looks like those 2 have maybe fallen through the cracks. Little things like that, really helpful. And again, if you want to drill down onto any particular staff member, if I click into Bonnie at a glance, frightening because 126 open tasks, 123 are overdue. If I click onto Bonnie's name, I can see her work report, much like I can with my own. And maybe I'm the admin or the manager or the partner, and I come in here and I want to reassign work. I absolutely can to maybe offload some of that burden from Bonnie, and maybe we can help with all the work that she might have on her plate. All right, I've covered everything I wanted to do there. I'm just going to jump back into the slides, and we're just going to cover off a few quick other things as well, making sure that we've covered all the key areas. Everybody's downloaded the template, started a trial if you haven't already. And we've also got this. So we've also got some additional workflow templates, ranging from the things I mentioned before, confirmation statements, payroll, VAT, annual accounts, tax returns, everything. We've also got some fantastic people from within the industry who have built their own. So like Amanda Watts, James Ashford, some of the Pixie users as well. If you know any of those people, you can download those templates. Some of them, most of them are free. Some of them are paid. It depends on the complexity and the type of work that they're doing. But Jordan has just put that link there in the chat, so everybody can see that and jump in there if they need to. Okay, final poll. What are your next steps? So we've got 3 things here. So 30-day trial, if you haven't already, the link is either in the chat or Pixie, Jordan, myself will follow up with that afterwards. So this is going to be great for gauging what type of response you'd like from us. If you'd like to have a demo with me, a one-on-one, we can dive into all the details, making sure it's going to work for you. How do we create all of the fields that we did there? How to get your account to look as nice as mine? Or if you're happy with where you are, please just let us know likewise there as well. Jordan, have we covered off everything that we wanted to do there?
Yeah, I think so, Matt. There's been quite a few questions coming in from the Q&A throughout. I've answered most of them, but I'll just highlight 1 or 2 that I think were particularly interesting. So Lucy was asking about prospects. Yes, you can add prospects into Pixie as well. I think Matt touched on that briefly in the demo. So you can add multiple client types, whether that's prospects, limited companies, we have integrations through Zapier with some of the proposal and letters of engagement tools like Practice Ignition and Go Proposal. So you can also integrate those tools with Pixie so that when you send proposals to clients and they get accepted, it will then create the client in Pixie, trigger the relevant services and trigger an onboarding workflow. We also had a question from Tracy, which was around AML checklists and being able to send those to clients. Yes, that's entirely possible from Pixie as well. We also have an integration, as you can see on the screen there, with a company called Zama, and Zama provide anti-money laundering checks and automation to accountants. So depending on what you're currently using or not currently using to offer AML checks to your clients, it's probably worth having a look at Zama. They're quite affordable. It's about £1.60 per check. And again, that can all be automated from inside Pixie as well. And then there was another question around additional workflows for things like year-end accounts and VAT returns. So what Matt ran through today was just very focused around the actual tax return workflow. But that's just one of many workflows that you can manage in Pixie. So all of the other recurring compliance deadlines like VAT, confirmation statements, year-end accounts, payroll, as well as some more ad hoc tasks, whether that's things like cash flow forecasting or any other additional advisory services. All of that can be managed in Pixie with those standardized templates, which really helps make sure that you and your team are kind of singing from the same sheet in terms of how the work gets done and what needs to get done as well.
Mm-hmm. We've also got some pre-prepared templates in our resource. So if you need to find anything, maybe you've accidentally started the bookkeeping and you've overwritten it, excuse me, and you'd like to get the original back, click the Get Help button, check out our documentation. You'll be able to find some templates in there that you can download straight into your Pixie account too. They will also be on that link that Jordan sent through. Now, something that Jordan mentioned before was if, for example, you're looking to use a different software through Zapier, maybe like Practice Ignition, Go Proposal. If you're a Practice Ignition user, we're actually running a webinar next week, Jordan. Yeah, so next week, if you'd like to attend that, please, how are we going to get people's responses for that? Maybe just let us know in the chat.
Link in the chat now.
Yeah, Jordan's going to put a link to that webinar in the chat. I'll be running that one alongside Peter from Practice Ignition and David, who's a user of both Pixie and Practice Ignition. So we're going to show how to set up the Zap to work from Practice Ignition and deploy that workflow immediately once the proposal's been signed into Pixie. So that'll be really beneficial to see that in action. We'll, of course, record that. So if you can't make it, please again register. We can send you the recording afterwards. All right, let's jump back in here. I think there might have been another question come through. Oh, that's a good question, Elizabeth. So email signature, I covered on that. I touched on that briefly, but I didn't quite show you how. So you click into My Account under the Settings tab. You've got email signature here. So you can just simply copy and paste this across. Now be aware, if that image doesn't quite show correctly, just save it and insert it as an image here. Now, if you're the admin for the firm and you'd like everybody to have a standardized email signature, you can copy yours, click into Team, click Edit User, and you're able to, again, paste your email signature and make a small adjustment per user. So you can, again, streamline that across all of your colleagues. So when they send an email, they never have to sign off or anything like that. It's always going to append at the bottom of it. Brilliant. Thanks for those great questions, everybody. Thanks for answering them there, Jordan, as well. Is there any other questions before we wrap it up? I think we've done that pretty quickly, actually. That's about 40 minutes. Give everybody an early mark back to the day.
There's been a few questions about the template files. So all of the templates in the library, and the same with the tax return template that we shared today, they're all Pixie files. So they can only be opened in a Pixie workspace. The benefit of that, obviously, based on what kind of Matt's shown you today, is that you get to leverage all the additional functionality from within Pixie, such as the automated email reminders, assigning those checklists to your clients, being able to track the different stages of the work and apply different task labels. So that's why the templates have been built in Pixie. It's just to give you an opportunity to practice using them in here and to see if Pixie is something that potentially could help you with managing your workflow going forwards.
Perfect. Interesting question there from Karen. Where did you try and download that template from, Karen? Was that from the knowledge base, or was that from the link that Jordan's put through there to find all the other templates? Because we want to make sure that those are working. If we haven't made some adjustments to them, we want to make sure that they're up to date. That'd be really helpful for letting us know. Okay, thanks there, Karen. We'll make sure that that particular template is updated if it wasn't already. But yes, that will be good to go in the next minute or so, I'd say. Okay, good question here. If you migrate from another system, do you have to set up the tasks one at a time, or is there a way to do it for all clients otherwise? Okay. So yeah, if you want to set up your template or a particular task like we have here, say standardize your bookkeeping across the firm, you can click into your clients and you can either maybe select, all these clients. So let's pretend that they're all bookkeeping clients. If I click schedule task, I can push that particular template or task to recur at whatever frequency I've set it up as for those clients. So if I go bookkeeping, I do a whole range of bookkeeping. I do daily, weekly, and monthly. So I might select the right bookkeeping template and I'll schedule that. So that's how you can quickly deploy workflow across a range of clients at once, but making sure that we transpose our correct task from an existing software as a template. And that's a super quick way of doing it there. All right. Perfect. Thanks for all the questions, everybody. That was fantastic. I'm just going to, I think we've already answered these. I'm just going to quickly check them off. I think we're done. I might hang around for another minute or two, just to make sure that everybody's got their answers together. But if you'd like to finish up, thanks again for joining us. I really appreciate your time. And we will send through this recording to everybody at the end, along with the polls that in terms of the way you answer them, we'll be able to give you a more tailored response there as well. Thanks everybody for attending. Have a fantastic day. Maybe we'll see you again next week for the Practice Ignition webinar.
Got one final question here as well from Lee, which was, will the task for next year automatically reset? So yes, it will, Lee. Whenever you assign a task like year-end accounts or monthly bookkeeping or monthly payroll, you can set the frequency at which that task will recur. So for personal tax, you would set that to recur every year. So once you've set it up once for the clients, every single year the task will pop up. Same for year-end accounts and same for all of the other recurring compliance deadlines as well.
Yeah, good question. So let me quickly dive into that and show you. So when you start or edit the template, here's where you can dictate what the frequency is to recur, just it, and when you'd like the task to start. Now, a really good point from Karen about the VAT. You might have 4 different types of quarter ends, for example. You might have them ranging depending on the client. There's no way you're going to build 4 or 20 or however many templates. Just build one smart template and I'll show you how. Choose on client date field. Create a field in your settings, which I'll show you in a second, and call it something like VAT quarter end, VAT due date, filing date, whatever you'd like. That is the field that every client might have a different date in there. Might be 30 April, might be 31 May, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Put that particular key date in. That's how you can dictate the recurring frequency, and the work will start based on the client's month end or quarter end. Instead of just having 20 jobs that start at the same time and maybe only doing 2 of them now and the other 18 just sort of sit in limbo for a month or 2. That's a really smart way of creating that work. And of course, if you want it to be quarterly, just do every 3 months. All right. Let me show you how to actually set up that field and all the fields that I had. Come across here, the client fields. Now, if I search for date, anything that has a date on the right-hand side as a choice in the drop-down, you can use to start a template. For example, confirmation statement date. I've got filing dates. I've got lodgement dates. I've got monthly bookkeeping dates, payroll dates, all sorts of stuff. And then of course down here, monthly VAT, quarterly VAT, everything that I'd like. I just simply select it as a date and that becomes a drop-down option when I start my template. So every client, as long as they've got that field completed within their client record, if I click into a client record for Matt, and I zip down to the bottom, he's got a VAT quarter end 30 June 21. So that's going to start that frequency recurring according to this date, and that's when the work's going to start. Perfect. All right. Thanks everybody for attending. Got no more questions. We're going to wrap that one up there. I'm going to finish the recording now and we'll stop the webinar. But thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.